Alright, so you have a laptop or maybe you have a desktop and say the motherboard shorts out or something. Well, now it doesn't turn on and you can't access your files. And maybe there's that important report due that is on that computer and you were almost done. And it was like a 10-page report. And other than that, you don't have any other copies of it because you forgot to back up the files. Well, I'm going to be able to show you how to retrieve those files in most cases. Obviously, depending if the hard drive itself failed, which if it does, then you're kind of out of luck. But I will show you how to retrieve those files by removing the hard drive, using an adapter to connect it by USB to your newer computer, and transfer the files directly to your computer. Alright, so removal process of the hard drive from a desktop. It's actually pretty simple. All you need is your desktop and maybe a screwdriver, maybe a Phillips head, depending on the computer. Some stuff is different. What you're going to do is you're going to find the side that opens, and you can usually find it by the screws on the back. You can usually do those by hand. So depending on the case, you'll have to figure that out. So all I'm going to have to do to this one is unscrew these, which I've already done, and slide this back. The case pops open, and I can pull the top off. Then I just set that aside for later. So now it reveals the inside of the computer. Right here this is called a ribbon cable, and it connects to the motherboard. So what you can do is you can trace this cable. Sometimes it has two little, I don't know what these are called. I'm just going to call them a connector. There's probably some fancy name I don't know. And then there's a power cable. One note is make sure this is not connected to a power source before you start touching anything inside. So once you find that, you disconnect all these connections and just set them aside. Just make sure you know which ones they are, because if you do plan to use it again and get it fixed, you're going to need to know which one it is. So right here I've got two hard drives installed. One does not work, but this one right here is the one I want to access. This has all my files on it. I've got some pictures on it I want to retrieve. So depending on how you get the drive out depends on how the case is built. Mine, there's a little knob right here that I can twist, and it pops out, just a little screw. Set that aside so I know where it is. And then this whole carriage pops out. So now inside are both my drives, and I need to access this one. On the side you will notice there are screws, but it is not necessary to remove them because we only need access to this panel right here, just like the computer. So I'm going to leave it inside the carriage so it makes it easier to put it back in when I'm ready. Alright, so now to remove the hard drive on a laptop, what you're going to do is you're going to take your laptop and you're just going to flip it over. Underneath you can generally access the everything you need. Just make sure it has these little panels. Here's your battery. Here's, I believe this is this is the wireless card. This is access to the RAM, and this is the one we want. This gives us access to the hard drive. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the battery because we don't want to short anything out. So this battery pops out. We just set that aside. To access the hard drive, you have to remove, on this one, there's two screws right here and here that you have to remove. This I don't know exactly what model this laptop is. I do know it is an HP though. So I'm going to remove this panel, which I already unscrewed these screws, and underneath is the hard drive right here. So this hard drive is mounted in here. So I'm going to remove these screws right here. Set that aside. These are tiny screws, so you have to be careful. I would say it is okay if you only have, if it has one screw in it, you may want to really keep track of that screw. If it has three like this one does, I would have to say maybe the back one would probably be the most necessary, and maybe this one. So if you lose one, it would be okay, but you don't want to do that anyway. So in order to remove the hard drive, what you're going to do in this one is you're going to slide it to the back. There's an arrow right here, which you can't see because not the best video camera, and it pops right out. So now that gives us access to the hard drive. Most newer laptops have what are known as SATA drives. Older hard drives have what's known as IDE. So it has this big panel. This is for all the data, and this is for power. All right. So what I'm going to use to connect to this, it's called the Easy Connect, and I got this at Micro Center for $12.96 on clearance. You can still get it at Micro Center. I have no idea why this was a clearance marked item. It was $16, and I gotta say, for $16, it's more than worth it. All right, so in order to connect your hard drive to your computer, it's pretty simple. You connect your adapter. So be careful on these IDE hard drives because of all those little pins. So carefully connect that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to connect your power first, and it won't feel like it's doing anything. And then you connect your data. So once it starts booting, this light on mine should start flickering, meaning there's a data connection. And you may have been able to hear the little ping from Windows saying it connected. So that's how you connect IDE. To connect SATA, so such as in this laptop hard drive, you're going to need the connectors, and depending on your connector you get, you may not be able to do this. So make sure you get something that has all three, or well, I guess two. Depending on if your laptop is old enough, it may have this one, which is a 2.5-inch IDE lead, which I almost never use because I don't have one. So I'm going to go ahead and connect my data cable, and then I'm going to connect the adapter directly to it, and then set that aside. Now, be careful when you do this part, because if you connect these wrong, you will damage the drive. It's pretty idiot-proof. It's shaped so that way you can't connect it wrong. If you do wedge it this way somehow, you've got some strength. All right, so as in with the IDE hard drive, you connect power first, and then you connect data. And Windows saw the drive, and that little light is flickering, kind of, every once in a while. So that's how you connect it to SATA. Alright, so now that I'm back at my desktop, I'm going to go ahead and open my File Explorer. So let this load a sec. And then I'm going to scroll down to Computer. And now it says there are 3 hard disk drives. There are actually only 2. This was partitioned so that you could save space for like another operating system, because the computer that it was on was dual booting XP and Vista. So I want to get into Vista. I'm going to go to Users, Jacob, which is me, and then I can go down to whichever one of these files I want. Say maybe I have a document or something. I can go in here and there'd be a document in there. Or I could go to desktop even. But I'm just going to go to my pictures, sample pictures. And then because I have Photoshop this, and I have it set to default, it would open there, but oh, there we go. So there it is. You can now grab all your files that you want off of this, as long as it is not encrypted. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you could, please subscribe. If you want like me to make another tutorial on something computer related, please post it in the comments below, and I will attempt to make a tutorial on whatever you want. Um, Please like, it lets me know that it was good. If it's bad, obviously dislike it, so that way I know. And if you dislike it, could you please leave it down in the comments below on what you didn't like about it. Um, so yeah, thank you.